Hello everyone, welcome back. This is part 4 of my Linux for Beginner series. If you're not going through other parts, you can check my channel and I have a playlist for this. In this one, we will talk about the package management and software installation, how you really deal with the package management in Linux. Before we start, let me introduce myself. I'm Sushil. I have more than a decade of industry experience. I'm a certified cloud and DevOps expert. I've helped organizations with their cloud modernization, migration, or whatever you call it. And I'm passionate about fitness and technology, and I share my knowledge using my blog, thetechguy.in. Now, something about the series. It's a 7-part series. In first one, I talked about introduction, where I gave brief intro about Linux flavors, kernel, etc. In part 2, we touched base on the fundamental basic commands and how you really navigate in the command line interface. Part 3, we talked about file system management, what are different files and folders, what those folders really mean. In this one, we will touch base on the package management, how you install something on Linux, how do you remove it, what are the dependencies, what are repositories, etc. In next one, we will talk about the process management and how do you monitor system, how do you really monitor system, basically all those things. And sixth one will be majorly on the network configuration, and then the last one will be on the shell scripting and automation. Now, let's jump back in the session. This will be again more of the practical one, but I will touch base on the theoretical part to tell you what is the package management in Linux. Now, if you've dealt with Windows throughout your life, I'm sure you've downloaded the binaries and you've installed it on your machine, which is .exe files. .exe is nothing but the executable files. So those files are designed, or not designed, those files are programmed to download something and then install it on your machine. So it downloads, it unzips, and then it installs on your machine. It's a similar mechanism in Linux also. It's just that in this one, you do not really have exe that you download. You install packages using command lines. Now, if you've seen my first part, I told you there are different Linux flavors, which means there are different package managers also for different flavors. You have APT. APT is Advanced Package Tool, which is available in Ubuntu, because I'll show you about APT, because in my lab I have Ubuntu machine, so I'll be doing a lot of APT commands. But you also have yum, which is available in Red Hat and CentOS and Fedora, etc. And you have DNF, which is basically a modified version. Yeah. You either use apt, yum, or dnf, whatever you use. As a normal user, you'll not really see a lot of differences because the commands are essentially same. So if you it will help you if you are switching between different flavors. You'll understand that there are different package managers for different flavors. Now, what is a typical life cycle of the package management in Linux? Now, when we talk about software packages, as I told you, there are different dependencies, it downloads, etc. So, as a user, you'll run those commands and the package manager commands. It will try to download those packages from a repository. Now, there are central repositories, Ubuntu, Red Hat, etc., where you have most of the packages available. But if not, you will have to add those repositories in your local machine. And when you add those repositories, it gets the metadata that what it needs to install, and then it will download the package and its dependencies as part of the installation. Because, for example, there's a tool that you're going to install, and the tool has PHP, for example, as a dependency, or Python as a dependency. It will download all the dependencies because it will not work without those dependencies, right? So it gets those dependency, it downloads those dependency and packages, which is available in the metadata. So metadata tells it what it needs to install, and it will install it. So that is what happens usually. That is why you will hear about dependencies, repositories, and package, and etc. So what is software package? It is basically it consists of precompiled binaries, libraries, configuration files, and documentation, etc. And dependency resolution, as I told you, it ensures all the necessary components are installed. Now we'll jump on the lab, but before jumping on the lab, I told you you, the commands are essentially same. In apt you use apt install, apt update, apt remove. In yum you'll use yum install, yum update, yum remove, and the commands are essentially same. Now let's jump back on the command line interface and let me show you what I really mean. Now this is my Ubuntu machine. Recap, for example, I use this, and this is my kernel. This is my machine name. This is my Ubuntu version 20.04.01, etc. Now let's try to update. Now what happens, or let me do this. Let me try to apt install VLC, for example. Okay. It tells me following new packages will be installed, which means these are all the dependencies that it will have. Okay, and this is how much it will download, and I'll talk about app remove later, but this is what it tells: automatically install. I mean, okay, following packages are were automatic. I don't need it, which is why I'll use I'll talk about apt auto remove. Let's just talk about apt install. So it tells me these are all the packages that will be installed, and this is how much my disk space will be used, and do I want to continue or not use? Why? It downloads everything and it installs it. Looks like it will take some time. I'll just pause it and I'll be back once this is done. Okay, so the installation completed. Now we know installation completed, but if you want to check what all packages are installed, I can use dpkg -l -l. It tells me these are all the packages which are installed. Okay. If you have seen my previous videos, we can use / and then we can check. For example, we installed VLC, right? So these are all the VLC libraries. I told you about dependencies. This is a good example. Actually, downloaded all the dependencies that we would need for VLC. We can use Q to quit, and the better way would be -l pipe grep VLC. We can use grep to search. If you don't remember, if you haven't seen my previous video, just see that. In that I talked about grep. So it installed VLC. It installed VLC. This is my package version. This is the architecture for which it was configured, and these are all the dependencies that it installed as part of my VLC installation. Now there can be a scenario where you want to remove something. Okay, so if I remove VLC, let's see what it does. It just tells me, if you remember when it was installing, it told me around 100 and 500 something MB is required, and now it's telling me only 229 KB will be freed. Why? Because it is telling me there are so many dependent packages, but it doesn't really remove it automatically. Let's remove VLC for now, and once this is done, it just completed. Okay, now what I can do is I can use auto remove. apt auto remove. This is the command that I'm using. What it does, it removes all the other dependencies. For example, VLC plugin, VLC video output, VLC. So all these dependencies. Yeah, if you really want to remove all, see, there can be certain scenarios where you're trying to install something and it's not working. It might not be working because there is a failed installation, there is a corrupt installation, or you want to clean up something and you want to start fresh. So you really use apt auto remove in those scenarios, and when I do Y, it will remove everything. That is what it is doing. Okay, now while this is done, one more thing that I want to show you is, and we also want, we can also check. See, now what you have done is you've installed and you've done it, but there can be certain scenarios where you want to search. Right now we use dpkg -l to search what is installed on my machine, but there can be scenarios where you want to search if a package really exists, and you want to check the repository for the package, or you just want to search for the package. So what you can do is, let's clean up. You can use this apt and search, for example, nano, or let's use Helm. Okay, so Helm is a package which it searched, and I mean this will actually tell you everything. And I see my Helm package, or let me keep it simple. Let me search apt search nginx. I really see all the packages and all everything. So if you really want to search some package in the repositories, you can use apt search, and then you can use apt upgrade also. Now so for example, we have done a lot of things, and sometimes what can happen, we also want to update our repository latest version. So what we can do is we can use apt upgrade. What apt upgrade is, it does, it new packages will be installed, whatever updates are there, right? Because I did a lot of cleanup, I did a lot of auto remove, so there might be some syncing that is required with the repository that is stored on my machine, and something that is that needs upgrade. So I can use auto upgrade, apt upgrade, and apt upgrade will update all my packages on my repositories and everything. That is what apt upgrade does. Now, where is all this stored? For example, in Linux you can really I mean in Linux it is all stored in registries, and then you have your program files and etc. In Linux, in the last file, in the last video, I explained all this is stored in. There are different files and folders and directories in Linux. Let me actually take you to that one if you haven't gone. Uh, Part 1. This is what I talked about. Um, we have etc, where we have all the configuration files. We have different file and folders. If you haven't seen this in detail, see my part 3. But etc is the directory where I have my all the configuration files. It has my network settings, it has my user account information, startup scripts, etc. So if I taking time, let's give it a minute. Okay, so it's clean. Now if I want to check where my repository or these source files are, they, when it got installed, where all my um, repository configuration is, I can go to etc, I can go to apt, because we are using apt package manager. We can go to sources.list.d, and these are all the um, configuration, repository configuration that I have on my machine. I have Azure CLI, Docker, Grafana, HashiCorp, etc. installed, and I can use Azure, and this is what it does. It tells me these are all the details. This is the deb is the repository or binary package. It's a it's installed that it is a binary package repository. And then I have my AMD 64, which is the architecture. I have this is the repository, and this is my version, which means my Ubuntu version, and this is the version again. Focal is my Ubuntu. I'll just walk you through. Focal is my Ubuntu release, and stable is the particular version for Ubuntu. Now, where does this focal come in? If we go to Ubuntu wiki page, all the versions have its name. For example, 14 had Trusty, 18 had Bionic, 20 had a name Focal. So that is why you see Focal. This one, it knows that this is where it needs to download my repository, for which version, for which Ubuntu version, Focal, and which I would say um, Focal is the release and main is the version. So for Focal version, main release, that is where the repository configuration is. So that's it for this video, and I have to walk you through. We talked about, we talked about with the background, we talked about package management, how we install, how we remove, and what are dependency resolution, and etc. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, anything that you want me to cover, feel free to note down in your comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.